Today's video is all about showing. I will be showing you how to know when you are most fertile in order to get pregnant. I am Dr. Amarachi Ijoma, and this channel is all about how to get pregnant. So if this is the kind of thing you're interested in, keep watching. To know when you're most fertile, you actually need to know your cycle length. And your cycle length is simply the number of days between the first day you see your period and the last day before you see your next period. So the normal cycle length is between 21 days and 35 days. So any cycle length that falls outside of these days, that is, if the cycle length falls less than 21 days or greater than 35 days, then that is an irregular cycle length. So imagine the first day you see your period is on the 2nd of this month. And the first day you see your next period is on the 31st of this same month. Then to know your cycle length, you would have to count the days from this first day you're seeing your cycle length till the last day before you see your next cycle length. So let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. So this particular woman has a 29-day cycle because when we counted from the first day she saw her period to the last day before she saw her next period, it was 29 days. Now, if she's someone that actually has 29-day cycle length almost every month of the year, then calculating her fertile period is very straightforward. So all she needs to do is subtract 14 days from 29 days. So I know a lot of you have seen my videos on how to calculate your safe period and fertile window with regular cycle length, and how to calculate your safe period and fertile window with irregular cycle length. So in today's video, I've added a few new things, and the reason for this is because a lot of you have asked me questions. Why did you specifically subtract 14 days when calculating for a regular cycle length? And why did you specifically subtract 18 days and 11 days? What is so special about these numbers? And how do we know that it's the right thing to do? Your questions are very valid. And in today's video, I'm going to be answering the reasons for all these things. But again, before I get to that, I also need to explain what a regular cycle length is and what an irregular cycle length is. Like I already mentioned, a normal cycle length is 21 days to 35 days, meaning that you may not constantly have 29-day cycle length, like if you're like this woman that has a 29-day cycle length. So if she has a 29-day cycle length this month, she might have a 27-day cycle length next month. She might also have a 26-day cycle length the following month. But the idea is that it is still within, just look at it, it's still within 21 and 35 days. So it is still said to be regular. For some women, they have varying, like it is varying from month to month, varying cycle length, but it's still regular once those varying lengths still fall within 21 and 35 days. There are several reasons that may lead to that. It could be stress, it could be an acute illness, it could be anything really. I have a whole video on that. But your cycle length is said to be irregular when it falls outside of this, that is less than 21 days or greater than 35 days. And if you fall within that case, you need to visit your healthcare provider so that you can be properly evaluated. There are a number of reasons why your cycle length will be irregular, and it is good to get evaluated so that you know your next point of action. So now back to this woman with a 29-day cycle length. We are trying to calculate her ovulation, and we are just going to subtract 14 days. The reason we are subtracting 14 days is because your menstrual cycle occurs in 3 phases. We have the menstrual phase, which actually begins with the first day you see your period blood. So at this point, it means that you didn't get pregnant. So your uterine lining is shedding and coming out as period blood. Then we also have the follicular stage. At this point, those sacs of fluid on your ovaries that actually contain the egg start to grow. Your brain is sending a hormone to tell your ovaries to start growing the follicles. So only one follicle will end up growing the big guessed, and then it will release a mature egg. But at this point of releasing a mature egg is where we get to the third stage of your menstrual cycle. And at this stage, your ovary releases a mature egg, waiting for a sperm to come and fertilize it. But if a sperm doesn't come to fertilize it, this egg will end up getting reabsorbed within 12 to 24 hours of its release. So now the number of days from when you actually ovulated till the day that you see your next period is what we call the luteal phase. And in this phase of your cycle, it's said to be 14 days. So yes, that's the reason we subtract 14 days. But guess what? Your luteal phase is not constantly 14 days. Even though some literature say it is consistently 2 weeks, it really isn't. Your luteal phase is about 11 to 17 days. So that's the reason by the time we subtract 14 days from your cycle length, we will end up doing what we call a grace period, plus or minus 2. But don't let me confuse you. Let me go back to the board. So to calculate the day she most likely ovulated, we'll say 29 days minus 14 days. This will give us day 15. Now this day 15, we are counting from the day you see your period. So let's calculate the day she's most likely to ovulate together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is the day she is most likely to ovulate. And I'm going to tag that with a pink magnet to signify ovulation. So remember I said that because the luteal phase is not consistently 14 days, we're going to give a grace period of plus or minus 2. That is, if she's likely to ovulate here, she can either ovulate plus 2 here, or minus 2 here or here. That is, she can ovulate on day 13, 14, 15, 16, or 17. So another interesting thing is the sperm can actually live in the female reproductive tract for about 3 to 5 days. So if this can happen, it means that if you have sex 5 days before you ovulate, a sperm can actually still be waiting for you to release the egg and then fertilize it. If you have sex 3 days before you actually ovulate, the sperm can actually be waiting for the egg to come and for it to fertilize the egg. A woman is said to be most fertile 2 to 3 days before she ovulates. So if you have sexual intercourse 2 days before you actually ovulate, the sperm will still be there waiting for the egg to come and fertilize it. And also it's important to note that the egg can survive for a period of 12 hours to 24 hours. I think I already mentioned that, but it's good that I mention it again. So now, since we are saying that the sperm can actually survive in the female reproductive tract for about 5 days, we're going to take the shortest time she can possibly ovulate and count 5 days backwards so that we can now get her fertile window. So this is her day 13 and we'll count 5 days backward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the beginning of her fertile window. And then the end of her fertile window is day 17. So we find day 17, which is here. So let's count how many days in a month that a woman is most fertile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these 9 days in a month, a woman is most fertile. So I have marked the fertile days with a green magnet just so that it can make it easier for you to understand. So how about a woman with varying cycle length? That is a woman that doesn't have the same cycle length over and over and over again for most months in a year. So this is how we know her cycle length. We know this by getting the records of her cycle length for the past 6 months. So it doesn't have to be only 6 months. It can be from the last 6 to 12 months. But if you have 6 months, we are good to go. So it's important for you to chart. It's important for you to record your monthly cycle length. And then by the time you do that, we'll get the last records, the last 6 records of your cycle length, and we'll use it to calculate your most fertile period. So I've written random 6 cycle lengths. So this is a hypothetical woman that has in the last month had a 28-day cycle length, followed by a 32-day cycle length, followed by a 27-day cycle length, followed by another 27-day cycle length, followed by a 26-day cycle length, and then a 29-day cycle length. So in this woman, to know her fertile window, we're not just going to subtract 14. So this is a different type of calculation. Instead, we'll look for her shortest cycle length here and subtract 18. And then we look for her longest cycle length here and subtract 11. Why those numbers? What is so special about those numbers? Why are we subtracting 18 from our shortest cycle length and 11 from our longest cycle length? So these numbers may not be special, but they are important in our calculation. And the reason is, remember that I said that the luteal phase is not constant. It is not always 14 days. 11 to 17 days. Now, that being said, the idea about knowing your fertile window is we want the widest window possible that you have the highest chance of getting pregnant. You know, it is called a window. Like a window is like, you know, a particular amount of days where you have the highest chance of actually getting pregnant. Now, because of this reason, because of this varying luteal phase, that's the reason we subtract 18 days. I know another question now is, why are we not subtracting 17 days from our shortest cycle length? That is because studies have shown that even though the normal luteal phase is 11 to 17 days, a luteal phase greater than 18 days is not normal. So now you see that it doesn't say a luteal phase of 18 days is not normal. It says a luteal phase greater than 18 days is not normal. So with that in mind, we have decided we want to get the widest window possible where a woman is most likely to get pregnant. And then we take her shortest cycle length, and then we subtract 18 days from it. And then we take her longest cycle length, and then we subtract what? 11 days from it. I really hope I have been able to finally answer your questions on the reason for these numbers. Okay, so now back to the board. So looking at these 6 cycle lengths for the past 6 months, this woman, her shortest cycle length is 26, and her longest cycle length is 32. So for the 26, we subtract 18, and this will give us 8. It means that on her day 8, that is the first day of her fertile window. So let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this day right here, her day 8, is the first day of what? Her fertile window. So we're going to mark that with a blue magnet. And then we take her longest cycle length, which is 32. And we subtract 11. And this will give us day 21. So now we are going to count day 21 to give us the last day of her fertile window. Again, let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So we're marking that with another blue magnet. So together now, let's count how many days in this month is her fertile window. Remember, I marked them with the blue magnet. So we are counting from the first blue magnet to the last blue magnet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now remember that when I first calculated that lady that had a 29-day cycle length consistently, she had just 9 days in a month that is her fertile window. Now, it doesn't mean that because this other woman has 14 days as a fertile window, it doesn't mean that this woman is more fertile than the other woman. It just means that we are giving a wider gap for this woman because it's more difficult to know when this woman is ovulating than to know when the other woman with a constant cycle length will ovulate. Like I said, widest possible window because we don't want to miss our chances. So also, it doesn't mean that every woman with a varying cycle length will have 14 days as her window. Remember that it's because this woman's cycle length, her shortest one was 26 and her longest one was 32. So another lady, her shortest one may be 26 and her longest one may be 28. And in that case, by the time you subtract 11 from 28, it will give you a much shorter number. And by the time you calculate that, it will not be up to 14 days of fertile window. So the idea is it's individualized, it is personalized. You have to have charted, you have to have recorded your personal cycle length subsequently for 6 months. I know I usually say this in my video, but when you're not understanding or when you're beginning to get confused, that's okay. All you need to do is pause the video and take a deep breath. If you have to rewind it, rewind it. I am most interested in you finally understanding how to calculate your cycle length in order to get pregnant. But doctor, you have shown us how to calculate our fertile window with varying cycle length, but you didn't tell us exactly when we will be ovulating. We want to know. So now I'm going to take you guys back again to the luteal phase. Remember what luteal phase is? The day from when you ovulate till the day you see your next period. Now this luteal phase is 11 to 17 days. On a normal day, it's already hard enough for us to tell when a woman with a constant cycle length, is meant to ovulate. We only say she is most likely to ovulate, and then we still do the grace period of ±2. Then how much more a woman that has varying cycle length? But you know what? It's not even so important. What is most important is knowing your fertile window. And I'm going to tell you why. The best time to have sexual intercourse when you are trying to conceive is 2 to 3 days or even a day before you ovulate. And I already explained the reason why. Because the sperm can survive in the female reproductive tract for about 3 to 5 days. Because if you are so hell-bent on the particular day you are going to ovulate, which nobody knows, right? Then you are missing the purpose of this calculation. Number one, people that wait till the day they are ovulating or till the day they think that they are ovulating to actually have sexual intercourse, remember that the egg only survives about 12 to 24 hours. So even if somehow you miraculously get the exact day that you'll be ovulating, let's just say you're ovulating today, but you don't know when in the day. You wouldn't know the time, right? You don't know when in the day you are ovulating. So if you now decide, oh, when I get back from work today, I'm going to try to have sex since I'm ovulating today, what if the egg is only surviving for 12 hours? What if you miss the window? So the thing is, the window for fertility is closing. Once you ovulate, the window of fertility is closing because you only have 12 to 24 hours to quickly have sexual intercourse. So it's still a wonderful time to actually have sexual intercourse when trying to conceive. But think about it. A woman is said to be most fertile 2 to 3 days before she ovulates because at this point, imagine that you have sexual intercourse a day or 2 days before your ovary releases an egg. It means that the sperm has already swum all the way to the fallopian tube and is just waiting there. The few number of them that made it to the fallopian tube are just waiting there. And then the following day, you ovulate. Then it means that as the egg is just entering the fallopian tube, the fastest sperm is going to fertilize it. So the thing is, it is also a good thing to have sex the day you're ovulating, but you are most fertile. The best time is 2 to 3 days before you ovulate. So there are other ways to know when you are most fertile, which is monitoring your vaginal discharge. That is actually the mucus coming from your cervix. Once a woman is approaching ovulation, the vaginal discharge starts to get thinner and clearer and stretchier. That is when you pick your vaginal discharge using your index finger and your thumb, and then you stretch it. It's supposed to be stretchy. Once it's stretchy like that, it means that you are approaching your ovulation. And we call this type of vaginal discharge the fertile mucus because the thin, the light, and the stretchy nature makes it easier for the sperm to enter the cervix and into the uterus. Another one is Checking your temperature every morning when you wake up. The minute you see that your early morning temperature has increased by 0.5 to 1 degrees, then it means that you most likely have ovulated. But this actually shows that you have ovulated. So it doesn't tell you before ovulation occurs. It only tells you after ovulation has occurred. Also, pay heed. Be mindful of when that temperature increases, what day of your cycle you are, because an increase in temperature may not only be ovulation. Another one you can use are over-the-counter ovulation prediction kits. So you can just walk into your local pharmacy, your local stores, and ask for ovulation prediction kits. So this ovulation kit measures the level of LH hormone in your urine. So the importance of this hormone in your urine is that once this hormone surges, it means that ovulation is about to happen in 24 to 48 hours. Because the function of this hormone is to stimulate the ovary to actually release the mature egg. So this is a good way of knowing when you are most fertile, because remember I said that a woman is most fertile 2 to 3 days before she actually ovulates. So once this kit shows positive, it means that you are most likely to ovulate in 2 days. Another way to know is with ultrasound scan, but this will involve daily visits to a healthcare facility. So what the ultrasound does is that it visualizes your ovaries and your follicles. So it shows when a follicle starts to grow. It shows the leading follicle. And then by the time you check daily, and then you see that this leading follicle has gotten to a big size, about 16 millimeters and above, it means that you are most likely to ovulate. And the moment you check with an ultrasound scan machine and you no longer see that leading follicle, it means that ovulation has occurred. So there you have it. These are ways to know when you are most fertile. If you learned something from today's video, please share with your friends, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and see you in my next video.